The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
BS Report returns from Houston. My old friend Antoine Walker. You didn't even know we were friends.
No,
I probably saw like your first 6 years of your career. I was at those games.
That was good. That's the best years, probably.
Yeah, what was your favorite out of all those years?
The year we went to the East Conference Finals. Probably
2001.
Yeah.
Or 2002. Yeah. It was 01-02.
Yeah, that was a great run. We
'Cause-
came up a little short, but that was a great run. We had the great comeback win.
Game three.
And ended up losing in 6 games, but that was the best year.
The crowd made Kid mad. The kid had some stuff going on in his personal life, and the crowd decided it would be a good idea to start taunting him about it. He didn't respond very well.
But,
He
yeah,
killed us.
You know, Jason Kidd, that was just when he was in his prime. Triple-double.
He was great those years. He owned us.
Yeah, he averaged a triple-double.
Kenyon was a bad matchup for you too. He loved going against you. And
Yeah,
he
we
was
had some battles.
Yeah, you were bad. That was
we had some battles.
Knockdown, drag out.
Yeah, we had some great battles, Kenyon. They had a great team though, so that was one of our rivals, and they got the best of. That's the year they went to the finals 2 years in a row too.
Tell me I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So if we somehow win that series, we actually played the Lakers really well for some reason. Remember?
Yeah, we would play the Lakers.
We'd won in LA. We had won in LA a couple times. Pierce always played well against them. I felt like that LA was kind of imploding. That tough King series. I felt like we would have a puncher's chance in that series.
Well, New Jersey got swept, so we probably could have did a little better than that.
Yeah, we could have done better than a sweep. Let's talk about the Patino era, because I was there for all those games, and the press thing. So your second year was the year after ML left. He comes in, he changes just about everybody. He drafts Chauncey and Ron Mercer, who you played with. Then decides he's going to do this press. And the theory now is that it didn't work. I actually felt like it kind of worked. I felt like the Celtics could change games with that press coming off the bench sometimes.
It worked. I think.
It wore you guys down, though.
Yeah, but if you look at what we did the year before, we won 15 games. We played a boring brand of basketball. Then when he came, we kind of excited it. We was great at home. We made the tempo up fast. I think we didn't have the proper personnel to probably do it on a game in and game out basis. Where in college, where we had athletes, guys that ran up and down and jump, dunk. That's why he made so many changes, because he wanted to press. If you think about it, he signed different guys, and then he's like, nah, let me bring in some of my guys that know. And that's how I ended up Walt, Tony, Ron. We ended up getting 6 guys off the team back on the same team. So he was trying to find the personnel, but I think if we had the personnel, I think it would have worked.
It was like a TV show where they kept changing the actors. It was like, hey, it's Chris Mills. Oh, no, he's not on the team anymore. Ty said they know he's out.
Chris Mills didn't make it through training camp.
No, he was out. He sent him to New York.
He gave Bruce Bowen his career.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Bruce turned out to be a great player, but that system fit Bruce.
I thought Bruce was going to make it. I mean, he couldn't shoot, but he was an unbelievable defensive player. You're like, at some point, this guy could make it.
Yeah, he did make it. He ended up being a great player, winning 3 rings, and been a good knockdown shooter from the corner, almost automatic. So, he gave some guys some chances. So you got to give Coach a little credit for that.
You came into the league. How old were you when you came on the Celtics? 19?
Yeah, 19. Turned 20 right before this in August. Yeah, 19.
So you come in. It's 3 years after Reggie Lewis died. It's 4 years after Bird retired. And what were your impressions of Boston going in? What did you know about the city?
I was excited. The one thing, my workout was Red Auerbach, Larry Bird, ML Carr. So I was kind of overwhelmed from the beginning. Casey Jones, Dennis Johnson. These were the guys when I came in that were there. So I had a great respect and passion for just being a Celtic. And then when they drafted me, at the press conference to see all those guys there and welcome me with open arms. So I was ecstatic. And I had got close to Red Auerbach too, especially in my first couple years, him coming in the locker room, him talking to me, teaching me about the game. So it was invaluable. I had Bird my rookie year until his mother passed away, and he kind of left him around. So it was great for me to be able to be around those guys and get that knowledge. Obviously, DJ was the assistant coach, Casey. So I've been around some legends there.
Remember we were playing you. I use we like I'm on the team even though I'm not. We were playing you at center down the stretch when you were a rookie. Remember going for the rookie of the year?
I was trying to. ML told me we need something positive going into next year. So he started playing me 40 minutes a night, giving me some game experience, and it worked. I ended up finishing up the last 30, 40 games, averaging a double-double, getting valuable game experience. So it was stuff that I could never take back.
Did you feel like? I mean, at some point during that decade, you became polarizing in Boston. The wiggle. You used to do the wiggle after the shots, and Boston can be a little exclusive from time to time. People are kind of like, what's this guy doing? I mean, did you feel like I went to games where, you would actually look into the crowd, like if somebody was yelling at you, you would go look at the fan, you'd be like, what are you doing? I'm out here trying my hardest. Why are you yelling at me? I'm on your team. Like, you would actually, listen to some of that stuff.
Well, I think the Boston fans were like love-hate type relationship.
Totally.
But it was great. When I was out in public, they treated me very well. I got the utmost respects. On the court, they like winning. They like winning. They've seen a great brand of basketball. They whole people watch Bird, McHale, that era, and we try to get back there. So it didn't bother me that much. I just always used to, I like to tease them mostly. It was more about teasing them, some interaction with them. But I never took it. I got games where I got booed, where I didn't play well, and then I got games where I got standing ovations. And we kind of left on a good note. Just going back to the game the other day, and just being around those guys and things like that, makes you feel special and makes people appreciate what you did for the city.
It was a weird era for the league. You had the late '90s. You had guys you could. After 3 years, you can negotiate a max contract, and the salaries in general were going up. We had the lockout, which was bad. It did seem like there was some resentment from their tickets are going up. You guys are making all this money, and it seemed like they were holding you to tighter standards maybe than in the past. Could you sense that?
Well, I think the lockout lasted so long. I think it got very public about a lot of guys' financial situations, and people started complaining that they didn't have any money to pay their bills. So I think for the average American 9-to-5 working person, they didn't want to hear that. And I think that's kind of rubbed people the wrong way. It just got blown way out of proportion. Yeah, I remember we went all the way to February.
I know.
You went deep into that. So a lot of people, business got put out there publicly, and I think fans kind of took offense to that.
And some of the guys weren't in shape when the lockout ended.
No, it was
that
it was
didn't
bad.
help either.
No, it was bad. It was bad basketball, but it was a short season. You was playing 3 games in 3 nights. You want to get no rest.
Games.
Yeah.
50 games in what? 3.5 months?
Yeah.
I don't count that title for the Spurs. I think it's got a giant asterisk on it.
Yeah,
because there was only 2 teams that were in shape.
Yeah, but that's what it was. So everybody had the speedball, kind of what hockey's doing right now. It's kind of you speedballing a little bit. But it was good. It was good to get the game back going. I think it got the fans and people back excited about the game. I think it did tarnish the game for a little bit, just because you saw guys fighting over millions of dollars, and the NBA saying they side publicly, we're right there, we're ready to do a deal. Then the players are saying their side. So it got a little out of hand.
When you look back at it, was it a good thing or a bad thing that Pitino crossed paths with you again after college and coached you a second time?
It was a good thing. One thing about Coach has always been like a father figure, for me, especially coming out of high school. I was a hot head coming out of high school, just wanted to score, teaching me discipline, teaching me the team game. And then in pros, he helped me in my process, picking my agent, getting myself together, getting myself prepared as a pro. So when he came, it just seemed natural. And he was the guy that paid me too.
Right.
So he ran the team. He was the guy that paid me too. So it was good to have him back.
They've changed that system since. So you were in the league. How many? You were in the league. 90. So you were 3 years, and then you were eligible for a max contract.
Yeah.
Now it's 5, and you had a lot of guys from your generation who got paid pretty quickly and never reached their potential. And I always wondered, was it a good thing that those, you look at Big Dog, Derek Coleman, Kenny Anderson, just on down the line, a lot of those guys never, I feel like, reach their potential. I wonder if they got paid too soon.
Well, I think it's go both ways. I think if you look at it now, you get paid on potential.
Right.
Back then, I think you got paid on numbers. I think if you was a 2010 guy, you was a guy delivering every night, you got paid. What now guys get paid on potential, and because he's young. You draft a guy at 18, 19, and then after that, you wait 3 years and be like, okay, well, potentially he's going to be great. So you give him $40, $50 million.
Right.
And I think that's what's got the league a little different now. You got a lot of young guys getting paid at a very early age, where back then, you had to put some numbers up.
Right.
So, guys can play through. So even if you had a short, like going into my third year, I was coming off an All-Star year. I was the only guy in my class to make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
So I had the numbers to support me getting a max deal. Where if I had to play it out 5 years, my numbers probably could have just, went down.
Right.
Where guys now, they're getting paid off potential. If you really look at it, everybody's getting paid off potential.
You, with free throw shooting, for some reason it went south for you. And I thought it changed a little bit the way you played. I thought at some points you were afraid to get fouled. Is that fair?
No. I've shot, for some reason during the season, I always struggled, and I made them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
My career was probably 64, 65%, but then...
You were pretty good the first couple of years.
Yes, I had a routine. It just went bad. I don't know what it was. Then I started playing mind games with myself, changing my shot. And when I went to Dallas, I got with a shooting coach, and he started putting all this stuff in my head about feed and release, and so it got a little bad for me. Towards the end, it got bad. I started shooting close to 55%. But I wasn't necessarily scared to go to the line.
Yeah.
I never was a big free throw guy. High call volume guy. I was shoot 4 or 5 free throws. But I don't know. Playoffs, I could make them during the season. It just was something that just I never could make them during the season. I'm splitting them 50%.
Did you played with Paul, I'm trying to think, like his first 5 years. He's still in the team. First of all, did you think he would still be a Celtic 15 years later, 14 years later?
No, not really, because the nature of the game changes so much.
Yeah.
When I left, they had a real bad run where when Doc first came in. They was the worst team in the league. But he got saved. He got a great opportunity to play with Kevin. When they got Kevin, then Ray came in. They kind of saved the franchise, kind of re-energized him. And I think he probably would have wanted to get out because they were so young and not competitive anymore. So I think when they got Kevin, made the big deal to get Kevin and Ray, kind of rejuvenated him. But he's a Celtic great. He's going to be in the rafters. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And he's had a great career. He's having a good year this year too. A lot of people don't really talk about him as one of the premier small forwards, but
he still is. He's still on.
He's very tough.
When you came back, so you left. You went to Dallas?
Yeah, my first year I went to Dallas.
Then we traded for you the 04-05 season.
Yeah, I came back.
You came back. And Paul at that point, for lack of a better word, was kind of in a funk. I mean, he was still putting up numbers, but I think something about his personality, and he had some stuff going on. I feel like, I personally feel like the stabbing thing and how fast he came back from that, that maybe there were some things that happened out of that he maybe never dealt with. Then the year after, the second time you were there, when you went to Miami, everything fell into place for him. And I don't know what happened to him off the court, but he was unbelievable that year. And he was a professional. He was the guy I always wanted him to be. Did you sense that?
Well, a lot of people don't know that was a very serious situation. I mean, that was really...
the stabbing.
It was a very, very serious situation where it got taken beyond basketball and beyond the streets, where the authorities really had to get involved.
Yeah.
He really had to be protected. But he didn't want to leave Boston. A lot of guys would ask for a trade, sometimes for their safety, because that came out of nowhere. So sometimes when tragedies like that happen and you don't know where they come from, you just rather remove yourself from the situation. But it got very serious. I was around him a lot at that time.
Could you sense he was going into a funk a little bit?
Well, I don't know that. I think sometimes we use basketball as our sanctuary. So I think that was a safe haven for him. But I think you could be in a funk. If you're I'm a guy throughout my whole career, I can go outside by myself. I don't walk with security and that type of thing. Now he had to take security. You have to open up your privacy of your home and have security around you 24/7 because you don't know how serious and deep it is. So I think it could have played a part in him.
Because the Indiana series, which he got kicked out of that one game in Indiana. What did he do? He shoved somebody like in the last 12 seconds.
Yeah, he took his shirt off.
Took his shirt off. Everybody in Boston got mad about that. And then Game 7, you lose by 30. And then it really seemed like, all right, they're going to trade him. Like, this has run its course. And instead, they kept him smartly. And now, 8 years later, and he's going to get retired, and he won a title. And it just goes to show you, like, sometimes people are late bloomers, you know?
Yeah, but it's different now. You know, the game has changed. You know, the economy's changed. People have changed. People want to win right away.
Yeah.
You don't have the traditional GMs that are sticking with their superstars and staying there. You know, players now want to play together. You know, so it's different. It's a different era now.
When you went to Dallas, what were your first impressions of Cuban?
Oh, I loved it. Well, yeah, Cuban.
You got nice locker rooms.
Yeah, they had the best. At that time, they probably had the best facilities for pro basketball. With the gym, the locker room, the way he treated guys was great. Their own plane, everything about the organization was great. Everything was first class.
Why didn't that team? What happened with that team? I forget. I remember thinking you guys were going to make the finals that year.
Well, it was deep.
Yeah, you had a nice team.
We had a very nice team. We ended up winning, I want to say, 52, 53 games. Ended up playing Sacramento and Chris Webber and Stojakovic and Vlade Divac in their last run, and they were still very good. They had their core together, and we didn't play well. I had a horrible playoff series that first round against them. We just did not play well, but from 1 to 7, we probably was the best team. We had Steve, Dirk, myself, Mike, Antoine Jameson, Marquise Daniels, so Josh Howard.
That was 04, right?
03.
03. Were you shocked when they let Dirk go? I mean, I'm sorry, Nash go?
I was shocked when Steve left.
Yeah.
I think Cuban lowballed him.
Yeah.
And Phoenix came right in, right after that. I think by us having kind of a lackluster season that year, I think Mark probably thought Steve didn't have it.
Yeah.
At that time, maybe a little bit.
The back issue a little bit.
Yeah. So we missed a few games. He missed a ton of. Probably missed 10 or 15 games. But once free agency started, Phoenix stepped right in there, and obviously we know what happens after that. 2 MVP trophies.
Right. That one came back to honor.
Yeah.
It's funny because when it happened, I was like, yeah, it's the right move. That's too much money for Steve Nash. I was like, nope, actually, it was not enough money for Steve Nash.
Actually, what got me out there, I remember Mark called me and told me, he said, look, Twan, I'm sorry, I got to get a point guard.
Yeah.
And then he then he traded me to Atlanta for Jason Terry.
Yeah.
So that hurt me from staying in Dallas too.
Atlanta, who was on that team? I forget. Was Sharif on that team?
No, we were very young. We had me, Al Harrington probably was the only other vet.
Oh, yeah.
And then that was the draft class of Josh Smith.
Oh, yeah. So you had Josh Smith on that team as a little high school guy.
Yeah, Josh Smith, Josh Childress.
What was he like as a right out of high school dude?
He was good. I mean, he was all right. You know what I'm saying? You saw a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Mike Wilson was the coach, so he was bringing them along real slowly.
Yeah.
We just didn't win a lot. Before I got traded, we were 10-41.
Got traded to Boston.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I went to All-Star, went to Boston, and we won 13 in a row, win the division.
Yeah.
And lost to Indiana. Reggie Miller's last year.
Yeah. That was the post-Artest Melee team.
Yeah.
That somehow we lost the series. And you got to play with Ricky Davis.
Yeah. I like Ricky.
Where does he rank on your teammate scale?
He up there. Ricky's a good dude. I like Ricky. I like him. I don't know other people, but I like him.
What's your greatest Ricky Davis story?
Probably non-basketball related.
Let's hear it.
Something I can't repeat.
It's got to be after you turn 60 years old, you'll tell it?
Yeah, something I won't repeat.
I'll rephrase the question. Did Ricky Davis sleep?
He slept a lot.
He slept? Okay.
Yeah.
Because there are rumors that he just didn't sleep. He was like a vampire.
He was up late some nights. I told you just non-related basketball stories.
Yeah. The Celtics fans liked him for some reason. He was like so crazy that they were like, we're in on this guy. This guy's nuts. We love this guy. And then they were in on him.
I mean, he's a scoring machine.
Yeah.
I mean, he could score.
He was a heat check guy.
Yeah. I think he may have won Sixth Man of the Year. He came close that year. He may have won it.
He was good. He had a good season.
Yeah, I thought he had one of the best mid-range games at the time.
Yeah.
His mid-range game was unbelievable.
So you go to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You leave. You go to the Heat. And you win a ring. On a team that was down 2-0 in the finals. Game 3, you're down like 15. and then Wade starts going to the basket, and the series changes. At what point did you actually think you were going to win that series?
After we won that game.
After game 3?
Yeah, after we got the one. We know going down 0-3 was going to be bad, but once we won the first one, we knew we could win the series. We just felt like we didn't play good basketball in Dallas, so when we got home, we can win. And you know what, to be honest, Coach Rouse did a tremendous job of just keeping us positive, telling us we can believe we can win. And it just happened. You know, we rode Dwayne Wade's coattail. He had an unbelievable series. I think he may average like 35 in that series.
Oh, yeah. He's going to the line 15 times a game.
We had a lot of bodies, myself, Posey, and Udonis Haslam to throw at Dirk. We just kept switching different guys on and giving them different looks. But that was a great series. I mean, it went 6 games. It was a great series. All those games were very intense and went down to the wire.
Did you have inside intel because you used to be in Dallas? Be like, Dirk, when he does this, when Dirk blinks, that means he's shooting.
That was Dirk was hitting his prime, man. Dirk was so good.
Did you know that was going to happen? You know he was going to get to where he got?
Yeah, he got great work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, him and Steve would, stay in the gym super late, go back at night, work on their shot. He has a shooting coach that comes over and stays with him. And Dirk wanted to be good. He wanted to win a championship.
Right.
And, he accomplished it. You saw the year he won it, he played great.
You guys had unbelievable chemistry on that Heat team.
Yeah, we were strong. We had.
Who was the leader of that team?
It was like 15 strong, man. It was like that was our slogan. We kind of stood by that.
Yeah.
We hung out. That was the one team that you always see 6, 7 guys eating together, 8, 9, 10 guys going out to eat. We did a lot of team appearances together. Coach did a lot of things together as a team, and we just kind of bonded. Obviously Shaq was the focal point and the main guy that kept everybody together, kept everybody laughing.
Was Damon Jones on that team, or he wasn't in?
No, Jason Williams.
That's right. That's what
we had Jason Williams. And we had some characters. We had some funny guys, Jason, Shaq, guys that keep the locker room going. Gary Payton, Posey, Udonis. We was loaded. Jason Capono was on that big team. He didn't play. Shannon Anderson was on the team. He didn't play that much.
Yeah.
Derek Anderson was on that team. I mean,
I forgot that.
Yeah, we had. Coach kept 15 all year, so it was a good team right there.
Gary Payton kind of had to reinvent himself as a spot-up shooter or role player, which was a weird look for him.
He was our defender.
Great guard.
He was our lockdown defender.
Yeah.
Let Dwayne score.
Yeah. But sometimes it didn't seem like he liked that too much.
He didn't, but he
stayed up for the ring.
Yeah, he wanted the ring real bad, so he did it for the ring.
What you put all that stuff in the pile? What was that story? In the locker room?
Oh, it was just cards, just different cards and different sayings and slogans we would put in there. And after every game in the playoffs, we just kept filling it up.
So everybody would write stuff on the cards, you'd throw it in the pile kept going.
Every time we win a game in the playoffs, we just kept it going. So we got all the way to we won it all.
And then you burned the pile.
I don't know what they did with that thing, man.
I think he burned it, didn't he?
He might have. I was celebrating after the game. We was gone. I don't know. We was gone.
At what point did you sleep after you won the title?
Probably like 30 days after. Like 30, to be exact.
Because you're in Miami.
Yeah, like 30 days after.
So what happened that night?
I mean, that's 10 years, long wait. Well, actually, Coach set up. We had the option. We went back to the hotel.
Yeah. Oh, you're in Dallas.
Yeah, we stayed in Dallas. We went to the hotel. Coach had one of the ballrooms set up for us, and our family and friends were there. Right. So we just partied at the hotel, and then after everybody got tired of partying, he said, "Y'all want to leave?"
Yeah.
And we left.
So you got on the plane?
About 4 in the morning.
Oh, no.
Yep, and got into Miami. So that's how our night went. Coach was like, let's get back to Miami.
And then South Beach the next day.
Yeah.
So playing in South Beach, it's kind of, it'd be safer to play in Cleveland, I would think.
It's tough to play in South Beach.
How do you fight off the urge of, it's Thursday night, we don't have a game till Saturday, I'm going out?
Pat Riley. Raul's run a tight ship. Yeah. He's very conscious of us going out and make sure we make the right decisions and not being out late. And we practice so hard, man. He'll get it out your body where you want to get some rest.
You sweat it out.
Yeah. But South Beach is tempting. It's 7 days a week. It's 80 degrees every day, 75, 80 every day, especially in the wintertime during the season. But
were there times when you played, a team would come in and you'd just be like, those guys were out last night?
Oh yeah, we know.
You know?
That's a weapon. See, what we'll do is wait till the game over with to go out.
Right. But
never
some
go out
teams,
the night before. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, they get that 80-degree weather. One night in Miami,
You have like a Sunday 1:00 p.m. game, and guys are stumbling around.
And we played a lot of national TV games too.
Yeah.
So that was our schedule too. We played a lot of Sunday early games.
Yeah. So what happened to you physically near the end? Your knees went?
No.
Or
I think for me physically it was just not playing. You know, I went to 2 teams that were in the cellar. And just not getting enough game reps and playing and being active. I think Minnesota, I played a little bit up, and I did hurt my ankle and missed the rest of the season there, but got back healthy. And in Memphis, I just never got an opportunity to play. It was the most frustrating thing I ever went through. Just
because you felt like you could have played?
Yeah, we was 10-50. I think I deserved to play with 10-50.
Yeah.
But you know, they were young. They were going in a different direction. I was the veteran on the team, the oldest guy on the team at the time, so they wanted to go in a different direction. So that kind of was that kind of, and not playing, you know, it kills your body. You don't get any game experience. You're not getting a wear tab. Practices are kind of watered down as the season go along. You're not really, coaches playing the rotation. He's practicing with the rotation, so I'm not getting as many reps in practice. So that just ended up my body didn't break down. Just didn't really get to use it much towards the end.
Right. Can you describe for me what it was like emotionally to go from Miami to Minnesota?
I wish I could say the words, but no, it was terrible. I mean, you go from, you know, winning the championship, a playoff team, playing with Shaq and D Wade.
You're in South Beach.
Plus South Beach, and then go to one of the coldest places in the world, Minnesota. A very young team in a rebuilding situation.
This was KG was gone, right?
Yeah. But they had to make the trade. So you still some familiar guys over there. Al Jefferson was there, and they kind of built around Al. Gerald Green was there from the trade. Randy Foye, Ryan Gomes. It was a real young team.
It was like an expansion team almost.
Pretty much so. And then coming from Miami to there, it was very difficult.
One of the things people don't know about you, or maybe they do, but I mean, I think it's underrated. You were pretty close to Jordan there, especially when he came back with the Wizards.
Yeah,
you somehow ended up like in his entourage for a few years.
In 2001, when we got out the playoffs, he calls me and he's like, you know, Twan, I want to make a comeback. Can you know, I want to get the guys together. I want to work out. I want to push it. I want to, you know, play every day. And I felt like it was an honor. You know, Michael Jordan's calling my phone, telling me. These
were these famous Chicago games, right?
Yeah. So we started training with Tim Grover every day.
So who's training? Who's at these sessions?
Myself, Jordan, Michael Finley, Juwan Howard, Bobby Simmons, Penny Hardaway, LeBron. I mean, it's just so many different guys from all over the country would come in and play for a week or 2 weeks just to train.
So it was mostly Chicago guys and then guest stars.
Yeah.
Right.
So every week you'll get 2-3 different pros come in. You know.
Was that the first time you'd really hung out with them?
Yeah. Well, on the court, off the court. I mean, obviously I played against them, you know, from '96 to '98, but hanging out on a daily basis, yeah.
Because I remember when he came back, it seemed like you guys had a good relationship. My friend Sully, who works for the Celtics, Jordan had something. You guys had some exhibition game at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, yeah.
And then he had some party after, and you had said something about how Paul was looking forward to playing him during the season, and he was all mad about it. And then he started yelling at you across the room. There's like 100 people there. He's like, "You tell Paul I'll be waiting. I'll be in the 5th game of the year. I know they're there."
I know what you're talking about.
He was like, he got all super competitive, and it was like, it was really cool to be in the room with it. It was like, oh, this is the Jordan they all talk about, like the crazy, super competitive Jordan.
Super competitive, and the one thing, you know, one thing I learned about him, he always used to tell me in pickup games, I never won nothing. Right. He'd be like, you never won. That's like the thing he'll tell you.
The rings thing. Yeah.
So I was ecstatic when I got mine in 2006.
Like, shut up, I got my ring.
Yeah, but that was great. That was a great time for me. It's also been a good friend of mine throughout this whole time. So it's been great. That was a great relationship, and I was, you know, one of the lucky ones to be around the greatest. And just to watch his work ethic at that age, at 40, to see how hard he worked and how he dedicated himself to the game was unbelievable.
There's a big article in ESPN the magazine, this issue about him at 50 and how competitive he still is, and he watches LeBron and thinks about ways he could stop him and all that stuff, and you get the feeling like he could, if his body would have cooperated, he would come back, just because he's so competitive just to do it.
No, I think he's too big a golfer now.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's too big a golfer.
Was it weird playing against him when he was on the Wizards though? Because it wasn't totally Jordan anymore. I mean, he was like a different guy at that point. But he still had the
scored 50.
charisma.
He still scored 50.
Yeah.
He still sold out the arena.
He did. It still felt like Jordan, but it wasn't. I think we all wanted it to work so bad.
I think for him to come back, he needed better personnel. I think he didn't. If he needed a little bit better personnel so he can hide a little bit, where he can get 15 or 20 points. He still was needed to get 20, 25 points a night.
Yeah.
And that was kind of tough at 40.
I went to a couple of those games. You and Paul, you guys were talking a lot. Both sides. He was talking, you were talking. It was pretty entertaining.
I dominated him in his Wizard era. I dominated him in his Wizard era, so I owned him in that era.
We work with Jalen Rose on Grantland and on ABC, and he has this one game when he was just killing Jordan, and he got thrown out. He had 30 points, and he got thrown out of the game, and it's like one of his big regrets. He was like, I was killing him. I had him. I was on my way to 50 against Jordan.
Jalen had a good run there. Again, they played the Bulls in them series. He used to play real good.
Yeah.
He was he was the ultimate six man too. I mean, he was just coming off the bench too.
Was Fab Five was ahead of you? Yeah, how many? It was like 5 years ahead of you.
Yeah, maybe two. Was it 91, 92?
Yeah.
I went to college 94.
Oh yeah. So you must have loved that team.
Yeah.
You must have learned some of your moves from the Fab Five.
I like, Jawan's obviously a Chicago guy, Southside kid, so I got to watch him play in high school.
Yeah.
And, he was kind of not similar type of ball player where he can, put on the floor, handle, so I definitely loved Jawan at that time.
So I always thought you were going to, after you played, you would be an announcer or an assistant. Mm-hmm. So what's your plan now for post-career? I mean, there's been obviously people know about you had financial problems after you finished this stuff.
Well, what I want to do is I partnered with a company called De Novo, and I want to kind of address my situation. So many times, guys, we hear all the stories about guys losing money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to help create the solution to help guys save their money. And basically just, when I played, you never really had an opportunity to sit down and really watch your money. You just going. You got your financial guy. You just going. Investments, things coming at you. So basically, I'm just taking different things that happen in my life to try to help some of these young guys in the NBA and try to change this number with this company, De Novo. And we're going to basically try to be a secondary finance resources to come watch over the guys that's handling their money. And if we can do that, it's going to save guys so much money. And so many problems. If I had a company like this behind me when I was doing my real estate deals, and then just had them watching it for me, I'd be in a better position financially. You know what I mean? But you never think about that when you're playing and you're just going. So I'm just trying to make guys aware of it, aware of the situation, of what's going on, and really just turn my negative story into a positive. But to answer your question, eventually I would love to be a coach on TV. I love the game. I watch the game on a daily basis. I watch you guys.
I always thought you were going to be the sage veteran assistant. Like the guy who's been there, like, no, young fella, you're going home tonight. You're not going to do that.
You got to, all the coaches I play for, they're not coaching.
Right.
So I don't really have that,
you don't have that one connection.
That one connection with that one coach that, knows my skill level and knows my knowledge of the game. But I will be proactive in that. I'm definitely going to end up being in the game at some point.
I hope so. I always thought that was your. I actually thought you would have been a good announcer too. I don't know if maybe I don't know.
I never tried.
How you get into that.
I never tried.
Game announcer. You have to be candid though. You'd have to tell those Ricky Davis stories when the play-by-play guy.
I have to have a good team too. Because you got to be able to bite your tongue when you got a bad team.
So do you feel like you could be something of a role model for these guys?
Oh, definitely. I think
kind of a sensei almost.
Well, I look at it as like a fraternity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like being an all-star and everything. You just be around the guys and you feel like a certain connection because you all kind of got the same upbringing, kind of, all played the same game you love. It kind of like, so I feel like, definitely, especially to the young guys. I feel like I was a decent enough player.
Yeah.
I think, people I had, I used to shimmy. I used to know people, I'm very recognizable. So I think if I can go out and do something positive, my story got a lot of national press.
Yeah. What do you think of Broke, by the way? Did you watch it, the 30 for 30?
Yeah. I thought it was good. I just thought it just threw a bunch of statistics out.
Right.
It didn't really, tell guys, how to change, how to fix it and things like that. So, but I thought it was good. I think it's always good to make guys aware of what's going on.
What would you have changed about it other than that part?
Just different guys, probably towards the end.
Yeah.
Some guys that have been successful, maybe having a little bit more guys that have been successful, have made that kind of money, and see some of the things that they're doing. There is some positive guys out here that are doing the right thing, that took care of their money and made some good business decisions and things like that. So I think we need, it's got to be a story told in that sense too. What
if you could do one thing over again, knowing what you know now, what would you do with that?
Just really having outside people, either not invest my money while I'm playing, or having a company like Lenovo help me out, or have somebody looking over my money too as well.
Because that's part I don't think people give enough credit to. Like, you make it, all these people that everybody you bump past with along the way, then now they feel like they made it, and now they're coming at you. Hey man.
Well, it's kind of.
I want to open a movie theater, whatever.
In the culture that we come up in, and even I'm a culprit of that. You want to see some of your friends make it.
Yeah.
You know the struggles and things that they have to go through, and you feel for them in a certain way.
Yeah.
So we all, as athletes, we get caught up in trying to help those guys, and want the best for them. But it's a way you can help them, and it's a way you can do it. And I think that's one of the enlightenments that I can bring, to guys, because everything these guys are going through, I went through it. And other guys in my position played in the NBA have went through it. It's just different levels.
Yeah.
Everybody goes through it in different levels. So it's about you can help them, but do it in the right way.
Do you think there's a mentality when people are trying to help all these people that they cross paths with, it's almost like they feel guilty that they made it, but these other people didn't? I remember at one of your games, I sat next to Ronnie Fields, who was, when you were going up in Chicago, he was the guy. Right. You made it and he didn't. And I don't know, I always feel like that might be a part of it.
I think that happens sometimes. I don't think it happens so much with your friends. I think it happens with the guys like a Ronnie Fields, or just had great high school careers, that's had all the national attention, and maybe either had an injury.
Yeah.
And that may have set them back.
What, he had a car accident?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was super athletic, but they may have stopped it, or made the wrong decision in college and got into some trouble, and people shy away from him. I think it's just, there are some guys that be a little jealous of you.
Do you feel like today's players have enough of a sense of learning from the mistakes of the previous generations, or are we still not there yet?
I think we do try to make them aware, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I think we have to get more detail, take it more serious. I think now, even with them changing the collective bargaining agreement, it's even more important that you kind of put up that first contract. Saving that money the first time, because now, you can be done in 5 years.
Would you do something, maybe defer 30% of the money to 15 years from now? I mean, I know it's not...
It's not a bad idea. If you want longevity.
Yeah.
Especially if if you're making, $5, $6, $7, $10 million a year, you probably can do that. And they'll put you on a nice budget plan. That's a good idea, man. I'm going to steal that.
You like that? You can say it, steal from me.
I like that.
You still follow Kentucky?
Yes.
Because that's the fraternity of fraternities.
It's
crazy great fans.
Yeah, you know what? Coach Calipari's been great as far as keeping us involved.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's actually February 27th. He's giving us our rings, the '96 team.
You don't have rings for that?
Yeah, but he's getting
he's getting better ones.
Yeah, he's getting us the nice ones. So
nice.
At halftime of the game, he's bringing all us out and giving us rings. So
that team was loaded. That almost wasn't fair, that team. Who'd you have? You had Tony Delk,
me, Tony,
Derek Anderson.
We had 11 pros.
Mercer.
Yeah.
Walter McCarty.
Yeah.
Who else?
Pope.
That team was ridiculous.
How did they get all those?
Nazi, who we should have drafted.
Yeah.
You didn't talk them into drafting him.
Man.
We could have gotten 10 years out of Nazi.
I know. Nazi's my best friend, so I wanted him with me.
Maybe that's why they didn't draft him. Maybe they didn't want to have the best friends.
Hey, I was at the draft room with him, and it was pretty. He's supposed to win lottery, and we waited till 29. So
my dad was upset about that.
So, that was one of them things, and to see him be playing 15, 16 years is unbelievable.
My dad was upset that night. He's like, I watched this guy in college. He's an NBA center. Why hasn't he been drafted yet? We should make a trade and whatever. But
yeah, we sat there for a long time. That was an experience there.
Are you worried about Nerlens Noel?
Yeah, I think obviously, and I think ESPN doesn't do him justice when they say he's going to be the top 3 pick. So he has to look at that like, dang.
Yeah.
But I think you go to school to go 4 years. If you're going in just for one, he should be okay. I think he's a young kid. He's definitely going to be a pro one day, and he gets to come back.
It's funny. I thought he should stay 2 years. I don't normally always think that, but he seems so raw to me and yet so talented. I just felt like 2 years would have been good for him.
He reminds me of Jermaine O'Neal. when he was that young.
Interesting.
When he was that young. So he kind of put me in that same story. But that's the same thing about these guys going potential-wise. I mean, you'd rather take them at 18 and don't see
develop them.
don't let them see this ACL happen and get them a setback. So that's what it's tough at when you try to get guys to stay just because of the injuries.
And that's exactly why these guys should come out as soon as they can. Because if you get hurt, you don't know how much.
But I think he'll be okay though. I think because his size, I think his body being slim like that, usually those guys come back from ACLs real good.
Yeah.
Usually guys that carry a lot of weight are the ones that struggle coming back off ACLs.
Were you secretly disappointed that they won last year because then you weren't the reigning Wildcat champions from '96? Oh no, '98. They won in '98. I forgot.
You know what? They won last year and they had a great team and I was happy for them, but they leaving. One thing
must be weird, right? They're there for 4 months.
Yeah, they gone. So it's funny, like being on the '96 team and championship team, people feel more connected.
Yeah. To
us because we had guys that stayed 3, 4 years, 2 years. So people feel like they know us. They got to know us as a person.
Yeah.
Where these guys are kind of coming in and coming out. They see Anthony Davis, a great player, play for 1 year. John Wall play for 1 year, then they're gone.
I don't like it.
So they don't have the same connection that we do.
No, they're like hired guns.
But that team wasn't better than ours. We got the best team probably in history of college basketball.
It's in the discussion. When you look at least from the 1 through 12, it's got to be in the discussion.
More. If you look at our record, 36-2, won by a margin of 24, 25 points a game.
Who did you lose to that year?
We lost to UMass early, like in the second game. Yeah. And then we lost to Mississippi State.
He's celebrating that Canby beat. He was over there. Mississippi State?
Yeah.
Dante Jones?
Yeah. Remember that? Eric Dampier, Dante Jones.
Dante Jones was responsible for one of my favorite Celtic moments of all time. We had this Henry Louis Gates, the Harvard professor. He they gave him some award, and then he was walking back, and he's walking by the Celtics layup line, and Dante Jones gave him a high five. Henry Louis Gates high five Dante Jones. I was like, yes, I'm so glad I witnessed that.
He was a lottery pick.
He was good.
Yeah,
he was a gunner.
Yeah, but played like 3-4 years, disappeared. You didn't hear back from him.
Yeah.
That's how them guys go, man.
Out of those Kentucky guys, is there anybody you like? I was there for Mercer those first couple years. I really thought he was going to be like a 5-time All-Star. What do you think happened with that?
Didn't really get his shot himself.
It was just circumstances.
He was one of the best mid-range games. You want to see athletic.
I thought he was Reggie Lewis reincarnated when just everything about his game was like, oh my God, it's like Reggie came back.
I think Skin Coach got real impatient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wanted to win right away. He's addicted to winning. Anybody knows Coach P, he wants to win. And he was not going to stop.
Which is fine unless you're also the GM, and then that's bad. When you can just make trades and get guys.
And then Boston media doesn't do any better.
Nah.
The fans, everything's talked about. And then after this famous speech, it kind of tarnished him a little bit up there when he said Mikhail and Bird and Parrish
not walking through that door.
Yeah, so they kind of held that over his head.
I still don't understand why Mercer didn't make it.
Well, he still played a long career.
No, I know, but I really thought, when you look at that backcourt, there were times during those first 50 games, it was like Chauncey and Mercer, like this is an all-star backcourt.
He definitely pulled the plug on Chauncey too fast. Wow. I thought Chauncey was good.
That's the all-time mistake, yeah.
But
Chauncey was a really good athlete back then.
But you know what? He was a huge Kenny Anderson fan. A lot of people don't know that.
But the problem is he'd recruited him 5 years before. He didn't know,
Yeah, so when he got an opportunity to get Kenny, he wanted Kenny. He was a huge Kenny Anderson fan. Coach was.
Chauncey, I remember first game for Pitino, playing the Bulls, home, come back, do the press. Chauncey's like going toe-to-toe with Jordan. I was like, oh my God, we hit the jackpot with this guy. He was gone 4 months later.
We won. We beat them, and they went on to win 72 games.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Was that year, or was it or they won like 69 that year?
They won a lot.
Yeah.
They went on to win like 70 games that year, some ridiculous number.
He's the best you've ever played.
Jordan?
Yeah. Who's
definitely.
number 2?
Magic.
Did you play Magic?
96, when Magic came back.
Oh, his rookie year.
Yeah, he came back.
So who's 3? Would you put Iverson in there?
He's definitely in top 7.
Here are the candidates: Iverson, Dirk, Duncan, KG, Jason Kidd, and I'm probably leaving somebody out.
I'll probably go
Kobe.
I'll probably go Jordan, Kobe, and then Garnett.
Kobe.
Yeah. Huge Kobe fan.
You know, we could have had Kobe. We drafted you instead.
Nah, y'all wasn't thinking about Kobe. I was way earlier than Kobe. I was already at the club by the time Kobe got picked. I was already gone. 16, he went like 14, 15, something like that. I was already gone, man.
Did you think Kobe was going to be Kobe?
Oh, obviously not. No, you don't think that coming out of high school.
Because you're going against him those first 3 years, and he's like high school kid, Jordan wannabe guy.
First couple years, he came off the bench.
Yeah.
So, no, you didn't think that, to where the player he is now. He's probably top 5 player.
Let the record show, the Celtics used to take it to the Lakers in the Antoine era. We used to take it. We won there a couple times.
Won a couple times.
We did.
Great games.
It was good games.
Great games.
Good times.
We never had a center to guard Shaq, though. That's why they had the advantage.
Well, we gave up the 8th pick for Potapenko. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it could have been Andre Miller or Sean Marion. That one hurt. Patino made a lot of mistakes. It's a good thing he's back in college. I think that's where he belongs. No offense, Coach P, but there were some bad ones. You trade Chauncey Billups after 50 games? Yeah,
different era, man. Different era. Era.
No hurt feelings. We want to know it. Antoine Walker, good luck with everything you're doing.
All right.
I hope to see you on a bench. You should be one of those assistants. Guys holding the clipboards, dispensing advice.
I hope so. I mean, I want to definitely be a part of the game
and
a major impacting part of the game. So hopefully I can be.
All right. Good luck with everything.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.